Okay, I'm Mike Willis. This is another edition of Team USA Tuesday. For the second week in a row, we've got someone from the national coaching staff on today. We have Joe Russell. Joe is, I think your title is technically manager of freestyle programs, but you're the assistant freestyle national team coach. Joe, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on today. It's good to see you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too, Joe. Again, seeing the office makes me a little wistful, but glad you're doing well, and thanks for taking some time today. I've got a list of questions right here. If you're ready to just jump into it.
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Starting off, what is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Shawshank Redemption. I'm pretty sure a lot of people say that, but I actually didn't watch it in the theater. Then it won the Oscar. Then it got re-released in the theaters, and I went and saw it. And I was actually very vocal and loud during the movie. I was so into it that it was one of those where I was a little, I don't know. It was the one that got me.
I can't picture you being loud in a movie theater, Joe. That's a little surprising.
And when he made the big escape, I just kind of let out a big yeah like that. I was just surprised, and I was like, "Holy cow! I can't believe I did that." But yeah, it was good.
yeah, classic for sure. I don't think too many people would debate you on that pick. Who's your favorite musical artist?
My favorite musical artist? Gosh, I don't have a clue on that one. I would say was probably the first concert I went to was an Amy Grant concert. She's mostly a Christian singer, but that was probably the first one I went to. And right up there, Billy Joel was another one. The one I went to that was pretty cool was went to a Lenny Kravitz concert, and he says, "Hey, do you guys mind if a friend of mine comes and plays with me?" And then Prince came out on the stage with him, and that was pretty cool to see those two guys up there just playing their guitars. And
that's amazing. Yeah, no, that's legendary. Trying to think. One time back in high school, I went to Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart rally in DC, and they had Ozzy Osbourne playing Crazy Train, Cat Stevens playing Peace Train, and then they brought out the OJs to play Love Train. So all three of them were on the stage, and that was pretty wild. That was like the coolest collab I ever saw. But
yeah, honestly, those surprises are fun.
Yeah, they're really cool. So you don't have to worry about cutting weight anymore. What is your favorite food to eat? And when you were a wrestler, what was your favorite food to eat when you were trying to maintain weight?
Yeah, it's really funny. I talk to wrestlers. I tell them, it's like, man, when you get done competing, you're gonna love Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving was I got done making weight. So Thanksgiving's a great holiday. But I would say the big thing that I used to crave and love was just taco salad. Not the salad part of it, but all the taco and the sour cream and all the good stuff on it. So that was when I was going through wrestling for sure. But yeah, wrestlers, especially young guys, when you get done competing and stuff, and you're going to love Thanksgiving. And maybe this year they got to enjoy it where they haven't in the past with wrestling season, but it's Thanksgiving's a good holiday.
What's the best side of Thanksgiving?
Best side at Thanksgiving. Well, my wife makes unbelievable macaroni and cheese, so she actually has people requesting that for her to make it for them for their events as well. So her mac and cheese is really good. But I was born in Idaho, so I really like the potatoes too.
Yeah, mashed potatoes and mac and cheese are definitely top tier sides. I would agree with you.
I agree with you there.
So for the taco salads, was there a specific place that had them, or was it just taco salads in general?
No, family. My Aunt Mary makes a great taco salad. We kind of, I guess, learned from her and stole her little plan. But just the Doritos and the hamburger meat and the all that cheese and all the good stuff. But I don't know, kind of got in the way. But.
Thanks, Aunt Mary.
Yeah,
sounds great. So what is your favorite sport to watch other than wrestling?
I have a problem because I like watching people compete, so I can get into watching anything if it's on TV or if I can get to an event. I can get into about any sport, but I don't know overall what my most favorite is. I really like individual Olympic sports a lot, but yeah, I can get sucked into anything.
Yeah.
Tiddlywinks and it's getting tight in there and get in and enjoy to see who wins.
Are there any specific teams you root for besides Team USA?
Yeah, I would say, growing up, I grew up in Oregon, in Portland, Oregon. So, basketball, the Portland Trailblazers were our hometown team. The closest NFL team was, Seattle Seahawks, teams like that growing up. But, I've lived kind of from the West Coast, the East Coast, Central, in the middle. So I kind of don't really follow teams, just individuals. If I've met them or get to know them or know what they're about, I like to follow those stories more than anything. But yeah, so I guess I'm a fair weather fan because I can kind of jump around different teams. So in Minnesota, so I like the Minnesota teams, and I was out east for a while. So now I'm in Colorado, so you got to say you love the Broncos in Colorado. So that's kind of the way it goes in the Nuggets.
Yeah. That seems fair. You don't seem fair weather to me. That seems okay. If you were a bandwagon fan, if you were jumping on the best team every year, there'd be some issues. But.
No, usually if I'm rooting for a team, they end up losing. You don't want me cheering for your team.
Did you play any other sports growing up?
When I was real little, I did, but got real serious about wrestling in grade school. So kind of, mostly just wrestled. But yeah, as a little kid, I played some football, some baseball, did some track events, but it was pretty much year-round wrestling when I was grade school on.
Yeah. So I think we see specialization kind of earlier now, but back when you were starting out, I don't think that was as common. So it's what drove you to do wrestling all year round at such a young age?
When I was a little kid, my dad was a coach, so I kind of grew up on a wrestling mat. In fact, my brother and I, the first time we were ever in the newspaper, we were 2-3. My dad was the high school coach in Rome, Idaho, and we were wrestling after the tournament was over, and they put our picture in the paper for some reason. Started competing when I was 4. My dad started coaching at Homedale, Idaho, and we were in just a club, just for fun, and would do it, just a short little season and wrestling our state tournament, that kind of stuff. But in the 5th grade, we moved to Oregon, and we joined USA Oregon Wrestling Club, and it was a year-round program, 3 or 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, year-round, and Coach Mark Sprague, and really grew a ton in that. I know there's a lot of evidence saying that specialization at a young age is not the right thing to do. And so I do encourage, athletes to try a lot of different sports and do that. And for me, it was okay. I just loved it from the get-go. And so it was, for me, it was a good thing, I think. But, overall, I think it's a little dangerous thing to do. So you want to make sure kids are trying a lot of different stuff. And my son right now is really into soccer, but I want him to try and wrestle. I want him to try other sports, and he's ran track, and I think the more we can expose him to, the better at a young age, for sure.
Yeah. Do you still have that newspaper clipping somewhere?
I'm sure we do somewhere. My brother, my mom, or I got it in storage somewhere. So it's kind of funny. It kind of started out. I didn't know any better. I just grew up on a wrestling mat, and it was always great to go with my dad to practice, and so that was always fun. And I actually think the first wrestling room I was probably ever in was probably the Boise State wrestling room. And my dad was training with Mike Young, the coach there, for many, many years. And so when I was a baby, he'd take me in the room, just lay me on the side of the mat while they would wrestle. So it's kind of just, it's home to me. It just feels good to be in a wrestling room. In fact, I practiced a few minutes ago, and it was kind of a highlight of the day, just being in a wrestling room.
So obviously you thrived in the sport and embraced it fully, but was it ever tough being a coach's kid, or was that just another aspect of it that you loved and embraced?
Yeah, for me, I think every individual is different, but for me, for the most part, it was very positive. I did a good job of separating dad and coach. There's a few instances where I made some mistakes and thought it was dad and not my coach. And so, I had to learn from that, but I just think for my personality, it was a great fit, and it worked well. And, I'm just real blessed that my dad took it serious for me as I was taking it serious, and helped give me a lot of opportunities that helped me grow as a wrestler and as a person.
Do you want to coach your son when he gets into it, or do you think you're going to be more hands-off?
My hope is I'll have hands off. I don't want to put that pressure on him, and, still trying to convince him that wrestling, he can learn a lot from it, and a lot of great life skills he can get out of it. So I'm hoping he'll choose to do that. He's done some, small club practices and stuff like that, and he's enjoyed that. Part of the Thunder Wrestling program out here in Colorado. But, it's going to have to be his choice, but I'm definitely politely nudged him to try it because I think there's a lot of great things he can learn from it. And my hope is I can stay hands off. But I've seen a lot of other dads that have tried that, and it's hard. So we will see. We will see.
Yeah, might have a Shawshank Redemption moment or two in there. So you obviously have considered a ton of wrestling over the years. Part of your job right now is watching matches, big part of your job. Who is your favorite wrestler to watch, either past or present?
I would say growing up, my brother and I, we really idolized the Peterson brothers, John and Ben Peterson. In fact, when I was a kid, we didn't have a TV at our house. Our dad didn't believe kids should watch TV, so we didn't have a television until 1976 Olympics. He bought one, brought it in the house. And so really my first exposure to television in our home was watching the Olympics and watching John win the gold that year. Ben won the silver in 72. It was just the opposite. Ben won the gold in 72 and John won the silver. But in 76, watching those guys compete, and we wanted to be like the Peterson brothers, my brother and I, and that's kind of where our Olympic dream kind of took off and what we wanted to do. So, in the old days, I just remember I just amazed watching those guys compete in the Olympics and trying to, they were scoring a lot of points. And I was like, that didn't make sense to me. I thought old guys would be super hard to score on and just learning that. So it's been a lot of fun. And now, I just really enjoy the team we have right now, and that men's freestyle team is a blast to be around. Just great people and pretty good wrestlers too. So just watching those guys compete and seeing, how hard they train and their heart, and when they go out there and put it on the line, it's just a blast to be a part of, and to get a front row seat to watch those guys compete is a dream come true.
Yeah. So your brother Dan, obviously, another incredibly successful wrestler. How much did you guys, push each other growing up, and how well did you know each other on the mat? Because I gotta assume if you wrestle every day, for years and years and years, you got to know exactly what the other guy's going to do and when he's going to do it.
Yeah, it worked well for me, with Dan. He's a year and a week older than me, so we're pretty much the same age. We actually started school together, another crazy story, but so we're kind of raised almost as twins, even though he's a year older. And we were always about the same size. I was short, fat kid, and he was tall, skinny kid, so I was a little bigger, I guess. But I always had a workout partner my whole life, and that was just great for me. I had somebody that could always. I didn't have to worry about finding a partner because Dan was with me, or I didn't have to necessarily push myself because I knew Dan could help push me, or I could help push him. Those kind of things. So having that built-in partner and that brother, and you've seen it a lot in wrestling with brothers in the sport and how they can help each other, and being around like Terry Steiner here is the women's coach, and Troy, Troy and Terry being twins pushed each other. I mean, there's just tons of stories of brothers that have helped each other, and so just real blessed to have Dan, be that partner my whole life and to be around each other, and I think it helped us grow quicker in the sport to have that partner with me. Now I live halfway across the world, so it's a little trickier. We just have to talk on calls like this where I can see how he's doing. He's doing some great stuff with Jordan Wrestling, living in Amman, Jordan, and Wrestling for Peace, and trying to push that initiative. And I think it's a great cause, and they're doing great things around the world. So it's pretty neat, Wrestling for Peace.
Yeah, no, and obviously it takes a special type of person to pack your bags and go halfway across the world and try to do something that you believe in. So hats off to him. And again, the Wrestling for Peace program is fantastic. It's a really cool thing that's going on. Were you able to talk to him at all over Thanksgiving? Yeah,
I did. They're actually in lockdown right now, so it's kind of a bummer. The wrestling thing is down a little bit, but they got some great initiatives going, and they're making a lot of progress. So once things open up again, I think we'll be hearing some big news out of the Middle East, and specifically Jordan, and Dan has had an impact on what's going on there. So expect to see some growth in that area, and that's a great, it's great for, as we know, the sport is really good at teaching good life lessons and helping us grow, and hopefully those lessons they can keep moving forward in the Middle East for sure.
Yeah. So off the mat, what are some of your hobbies and interests?
You know, it's a little crazy, but I'm wrestling obsessed, so I really like anything around wrestling. I enjoy traveling. You know, most of the traveling I've done is just for wrestling, but I really enjoy, you know, seeing new things, and that really is something that gets me excited to do. And so this coronavirus has been a little hard because I've been not able to travel forever, but you know, enjoy that. But yeah, wrestling definitely what I spend a lot of my off time even thinking about after work. You know, like you said, I get paid to watch videos, and what a great thing that is. And now we got some wrestling happening again. Guys are getting creative, finding ways to compete in these events, and I'm so excited they're doing it. And for me as a wrestling fan, it's been a blast to watch.
What about as a competitor? Did you have anything that, were you as wrestling obsessed then, and or did you have anything that you kind of used to take your mind off of it when you needed to once in a while? Or was it all wrestling all the time?
Yeah, I get a little, I guess, one direction in my mind, so I'm focused on it pretty well. But yeah, you know, it's pretty much what I thought all kids, you know, train 3 or 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, year round, because that's what we did as a kid. I just assumed that's what people did, and then I found out later, no, that's not the opportunities that every kid, you know, was able to get. So, but you know, off the mat, I've definitely, you know, been real blessed in life. I have a great family. You know, growing up close to my family, and a wife and a son now, and my faith has always been super important to me. So, you know, church friends, church events, those kind of things of stuff I've been really involved with. But at the same time, I'm pretty much thinking about wrestling. Pretty much, I like wrestling stories from the Bible real well. Or when I went to law school, I couldn't understand because people didn't really talk about wrestling too much. So it kind of was like, huh, sure. So no, I have some problems when it comes to that.
Well, luckily now you're in a place where everybody wants to talk about wrestling all the
Yeah,
time.
it's pretty fun. You know,
Worked out.
everybody's in wrestling. My boss is a wrestler. His boss is a wrestler, and it kind of works up. Everybody's with wrestling, so it's a good fit for me, as you can tell. It's kind of fits my mindset a little bit.
So you can be funny or you can be serious with this answer. But what is your biggest fear?
What is my biggest fear? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have big fears. There's things I don't want to do or see, those kind of things. You know, I kind of trust that God's got my back no matter what. So if I'm fearful or nervous or those kind of things, it's like, man, you know, I'm not really as faithful as I think I should be. So I try and downplay it a little bit in that regard. But I make a lot of mistakes every day, and as things I definitely be afraid of. But try and say, all right, if you're afraid of it, then you're showing weakness. So let's not do that. So I guess that's where I go with that. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that does. It does. At the same, so like you don't have any gut reaction fears like
Oh,
spider.
I'm scared of a lot of stuff. I see a spider, I'll jump, or if you know, I'll do all those things. I'll react the wrong way all the time, every day. You know, over and over again. I'm nervous right now talking to you. You know, also it's like it's normal to have those fears, and I have those reactions all the time. But I always try and like, all right, let it go. You know, it's like it's just showing. I don't have faith that God's got my back. Those kind of things. So.
Okay. So how did you end up involved in coaching, or what did your path to coaching look like? Because I know you mentioned it. You got a law degree. Was it always in the cards to get back into it, or how did it happen?
Yeah, I wanted to. You know, I think my dad kind of raised me, and we were always coaching. Even as a kid, I was doing camps and clinics, even as a kid. And then in high school, you know, wrestling was going great. And then I got in an accident where, you know, I wasn't supposed to live in that accident. And it really shut me down for a long time. So I had to go to an extra year of high school. I don't recommend that at all. I tell everybody I redshirted in high school, and that's pretty rare, but I did that. And I was during that time when I was trying to relearn everything, learn how to walk again, learn how to do everything. I started coaching back then. So when I couldn't compete, I was coaching, and And then when I was real lucky that Jay Robinson took a big risk on me and brought me to Minnesota as a wrestler. And when I was at Minnesota, I was coaching kids clubs and, always involved in that. And when I graduated from college, I didn't have the wrestling credentials because I couldn't come all the way back from my accident and still had limitations physically that forced me not to be I never won a college varsity match. So I was like kind of the bench warmer on the team. And when they throw me out there, I didn't win. But when I got done with college, I decided to go to law school. I had a mentor, Rick Franklin, who was a mentor of mine growing up. And I thought, I'll go to law school. That's a good degree to have. And I thought if I get that degree, maybe I can come back and coach after that. And it's the quickest way to get a doctorate degree. So I went and got my Juris Doctorate in 3 years. But while I was doing the law degree, I was still involved with the Minnesota program. My first year actually as a wrestler, then the next 2 years I was, they gave me a cool title like Director of Ops or something like that. So I was doing that. And then when I graduated from law school, one of the coaches, Dave Grant, took a head job at Northern Illinois. That opened a position on the staff. And once again, Jay was crazy enough to not only recruit me as a wrestler, then he hired me to be, I was the volunteer assistant, started at Minnesota and worked my way up there. So always been passionate about it and just right place, right time. And Jay taking a risk on me was huge. And then we had a lot of success at Minnesota, and that kind of helped me propel my career to go to be a head coach for a few years and now to be at USA Wrestling. So it's just, I don't know how it all works out, but you just work hard, try and make yourself, valuable to the program and try and, help people succeed. And that's been, put me in a place where I am now.
What's your favorite part of coaching? And then what's your least favorite part of coaching, if you have one?
My favorite part of coaching is just watching the guys grow. I really enjoyed that as a college coach. You have the college freshmen come in and they're sometimes just knuckleheads and really struggling. And you watch them grow up to be, turn into good men that are going out doing great things in their community. And, for me as a coach, it's a blast to go to their weddings and see how they're doing or see their kids and see them grow up. So I love that as a coach, just helping guys develop and trying to, become men that make great decisions. And so that was a lot of fun for me. Least favorite part of coaching. I think the one thing that surprised me when I first got into coaching, I thought it was just going to be me in a room, teaching technique, working with guys and doing all that stuff. But that part I really just love. And then, as I went on or as I've gone through coaching, that's the highlight of my day. When you get in the room, that's the fun part of it, but you got to do so much other stuff to be a successful coach. As a college coach, it's, fundraising, recruiting, lots of meetings, just making sure the guys are taken care of and doing those day in day things. It was just, if I could get in the room, that was like, all right, I'm finally in the room. This is great. And so at USA Wrestling now, it's like getting to go to practice just, I don't know, makes me smile, feels good. But, there's a lot of other things as a coach that are super, super important to move a program forward. I think the NWCA, talks a lot about the CEO aspect of being a coach and how important that is. And I've seen that over the years. There's so much more than teaching double legs and single legs. That's just a small part of it. So the important stuff is the stuff outside of the room. And I think that really surprised me. I can't say I hate it. Some things are harder than others, but I don't know. I've been a mat washer from when I was in high school. I was the guy who washed the match. That was my job. In college, I got the work study job to wash the match. So that's what I did during law school. At George Mason, we didn't have a mat washer, so as the head coach, I became the mat washer there. And so I'm really good at washing mats, and I think a lot of people like washing the mats, but I get frustrated when I see somebody washing the mats and they don't have the technique that works the best, or it kind of bothers me. So
what is the ultimate, coming from the master, what is the ultimate mat mopping technique?
it depends what device you have, but I don't like, if you just got a normal mop head, you got to go back and forth and keep it on the mat. You also got to bring the trash with you as you go. You don't lift it up and move it around and those kind of things. And the right amount of water, you want to have enough to where get fluid on all of it so you can clean the whole mat. You don't get it too dry or too wet. So there's some important things.
You've got like too much wrestling in you when you have the mat mopping down to a T to it.
Yeah, I guess I've always struggled with moving. So that's something I would say that as a coach I didn't like. And you never get out of it. It's just as a wrestler, you're going to end up moving mats. There's nothing you can do about it. So
coming out of law school, did you think, I mean, again, you got right back into, you never left wrestling, you were in it all the way. But did you ever think that you might end up practicing law outside of wrestling?
yeah, I always had it as a fallback. So when I graduated from law school, like I said, it was just real fortunate that a position opened up at Minnesota. Jay took another risk on me to hire me. So thanks, Jay. I appreciate that. But it was a plan all along. I went ahead and passed the bar exam, and I have done stuff, mostly for friends and stuff, or when somebody needed help, I would use my law degree and had it as a fallback just in case the whole wrestling thing didn't work out. But so far, so good. So hopefully we can keep this going a little bit longer here.
Yeah, maybe a nice relaxing retirement job as a lawyer or something, right?
There you go.
What do you think the best advice you've received in your career has been, or a piece of advice that really stands out to you over the years?
Piece of advice that really stands out over the years. I think, you need to be who you are. If you try and be somebody else as a coach, I think you get in a jam. So, my personality, I'm a little more laid back. And if I was try to be, I don't know, real hammer fist or whatever, that probably wouldn't fit my personality well. So be who you are. And then the continual growth, it's always trying to get better, trying to learn. And it's amazing, you can learn. I don't know, I've been in the sport forever, and it's crazy as now I think about how many years I've been a, full-time coach or in this thing, but there's always room to learn, and you got to keep growing, and it's very important as well.
Similar vein of questioning, what advice would you give somebody just starting out in wrestling?
I think be patient with yourself. I think we want an instant gratification, and I think sometimes that gets people in trouble, or you see them going. It's just like, be patient, learn to love the journey, love what you're doing, and it'll come. You see a lot of guys who aren't successful when they're young. They stick with it, they can be successful. The problem is to stick with it is hard, but just hang in there, you can do it, and great things will happen. And just being patient, I think, is an important thing. But guys can get there.
When you were competing, what motivated you during your toughest training sessions, and what when you had to dig deep, what pushed you the most?
I think it was just a lot of it was just in me, it's just kind of who I was, and that I wanted to do well. Sometimes it's to please your coach or to please others, but a lot of times it was more internal, like I can do this, and when I get done, it would feel good when I was able to complete a run, or to get to the top of the mountain faster than the other guy, that stuff, that competitiveness, it felt good inside. So I think that internal motivation is super important. As I got older and as my faith grew, it was, trying to glorify God in what I did, and try and, show that, my work was pleasing to others because of what I was doing was the right thing. So, it really depends, but finding that motivation and why you do the sport, I think, is important, especially as you get older in the sport, and each level you go up, it gets a little bit harder and harder. Just the margin for error gets less and less. So you need to make sure you're doing the little things right, but also have the right kind of motivation that can help you grow.
Yeah. I'd ask you what your motivation as a coach is, but it seems like that's just inherent. And
yeah, I think to love God and love others. That's what you want to do.
Last question I got for you, Joe. What is your best wrestling memory to date?
Man, there's a lot of good ones over the years. I've been real blessed to be a part of some fun stuff. I think when I was at Minnesota, you know, the first time we won it at the NCAA's as a team, you know, we've been close, gotten trophy after trophy, year after year, you know, second, third, you know, right close there, nipping it, getting there. And in 99, I think we lost by like a point and a half. So it was real painful. And are we ever going to win it? And then 2001, the team finally won it. They did it in such an amazing fashion. We had no NCAA finalists, and so nobody was able to be a national champ like they wanted to do, but they all came together for each other and wrestled for each other, and became the only team that had 10 All-Americans, and they won a national title as a team. And that was a pretty unique experience to see those guys come together and wrestle for each other, and to win that first team title for Minnesota, which seemed elusive, was pretty amazing. You know, when I first got at USA Wrestling, a few months after I got here, I was still getting to know the guys, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to coach them, but I really just wanted to get their autographs. You know, it was kind of that stage of my time here, and they went to the World Championships.
I can relate to that one.
Yeah, exactly. That amazing run, and came down to where, you know, Jordan and Kyle had to win their matches for us to win. They had to beat the Russians, and both of them came through. Both were behind in their matches and came back and won them, and to win a world title for the United States since 1995 to 2017. It was fun to be there and to experience that and be with them, and what a blast to share that with those guys. So there's a couple of memories, but I got a ton of them. So that's the problem with being old. You know, I've been around a lot, and there's a lot of disappointment in the sport, a lot of hard things, and a lot of pain, but also there are some great memories. And one of them, I guess you can see right behind me right there. I don't know if you guys can see it in the video, but I'm on my knees celebrating Jason Ness winning a national title, and very happy for him to finish his senior year that way. So yeah, it's crazy. Oh yeah, and that's the 2017 team right behind me there. So I guess those are some moments, and I get to look at them in my office, so that makes it kind of fun.
Yeah, you lived through history. You were part of it. That's pretty darn cool.
It's fun to have a front row seat for that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Hey, well, Joe, thanks so much for coming on today. I really enjoyed talking with you, and walking down memory lane a little bit, and just getting some insight into some different things. Appreciate you and everything you do for USA Wrestling.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It means a lot.
All right. Well, this has been another edition of Team USA Tuesday. I'm Mike Willis for Joe Russell. Thanks for tuning in.